So, this past Sunday, depending on when you're watching this,
Spoilers.
spoilers. Yes, massive spoilers. Spooky spoilers.
Spooky, scary spoilers.
Spooky, scary spoilers. They mess up your weekend. We had the season 1 premiere of The Walking Dead. And wow.
Boy, was it a doozy.
So this is what everyone has been waiting for since...
This. It's not Fear the Walking Dead.
Right. So
Power to me.
When did that stop? Was it March or
That would have
April?
been February or March.
No,
not April.
February is when they restarted.
Yeah, you're right. It probably was the end of March.
I want to say
early April.
I want to say the end of March because it started like on Valentine's Day. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That's when they started the second half of season
so.
6. So, end of March, we get this. It was mostly season finale.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem that I had with it was it didn't have to be 90 minutes. It could have been 60 minutes.
It really didn't. But I really kind of like the way it built, like the creepiness up of them just driving and seeing these humans, like tons of people just blocking the road.
It did do that.
Yeah. But so like second time watching it, which I have watched the second time, it was a little bit more okay. Let's get to it. But at least for the first time, it was like I don't know. I was excited the whole time.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So it ends with Negan to make a point. Bat out. He gets his bat out. To make a point, he's going to kill one of them. And you see from the person's point of view who he's killing, and that's
taking it like a champ.
Yeah.
Hint,
There were there were some hints as to who died, but you saw it from their point of view, and so we were left on this giant cliffhanger. Who did Negan kill?
Spooky cliffhanger.
So
now we get the spooky reveal.
Now here's one thing. So the season premiere for season 7 was only an hour long, and they didn't open with the. They didn't open with the.
I knew they'd
death.
keep you waiting a little bit longer.
But it's interesting that they opened with the direct aftermath.
Yeah, I thought that same thing too. Which, if you think about it, they've really they've been getting closer and closer with the season. If you notice, the show has been over time. It's been taking the episodes have been taking place over a shorter span of time.
Right.
So the gap between seasons has been getting shorter. Like in between season 5 and 6, it was like hardly anything. Right, it was probably like a week after, because Rick was still new to the whole people, and they were talking. I feel like there was some mention of how many days past it was when Morgan showed up there. It was very recent, and it was even showing recent flashbacks to it. But yeah, this was just right into it, which I was honestly expecting because of the teaser clip that they released afterwards of the first scene. So, yeah.
That's what it opened with, right? That teaser clip of Negan talking to Rick and saying how he thought he might have killed his right-hand man.
I'm gonna kill you.
So he takes him into the trailer, and we get more. We get about 20 minutes basically of just seeing Negan continue to break Rick down.
Yeah.
We start seeing flashbacks from Rick. He basically has Rick's axe, and to make a point, throws it out of the RV. They're in the midst of a walker raid, and he just
unrealistic amounts of fog.
Yeah, and he says,
for spookiness,
go get my axe, to prove hey, I'm your boss now. You work for me.
He's basically telling his dog to fetch.
Right. Otherwise, you may lose.
Mm-hmm. He keeps telling him to think about what could happen, think about what happened, and think about
what could happen still.
Yeah.
So he goes out, gets the axe, gets on top of the RV just to take refuge. And this is where we see the flashback where we see who gets it. We see, of course, the first victim turned out to be Abraham.
Which, again, like I said earlier, the taking it like a champ thing was a major hint, because he's the toughest guy there.
Right. The only thing about that, though, is in the season finale from season 6, he kind of stood up and offered himself. Do you remember that? Abraham?
That's true. Well, I think it's just kind of showing how he's not afraid. I think I don't know that he's more kind of, it's just kind of his stature. He's not gonna submit to Negan. He's just straight.
I kind of took it as he was basically saying he's basically sacrificing himself.
Maybe.
But he said, "No, I'm going to save you for later."
He said that to Abraham?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that actually. Yeah, he gets to him and he says that. Yeah.
So, I do think that was kind of a way to throw people off, but just the way that they really built up his character and his relationship
in the past few episodes, and
with Eugene in particular, I was like, one of you guys is going to die now because
I thought it would be Eugene. Honestly,
you've come to this. Yeah, I thought it was going to be one of the two, but Abraham died. It was pretty. And we see the aftermath of his head just a.
Yeah, that was those are probably the most disturbing shots of them, like with their heads like beating down on the ground, connected.
So, to further drive the point home,
oh man,
he has the bat still dripping with blood, and he's like showing it to everybody. He's just like, hey, he took 6, 7, 8 hits for the team, and then he comes to Rosita, and of course Rosita is taking it harder than everyone else because they were just in a relationship together. So he really like puts the bat in her face and just like, he's like, you need to look at it. You need to look at it. And this gets Daryl upset. So Daryl rushes out. Negan.
And then they killed Daryl. Sorry guys. Daryl's dead.
We told you spoilers. No, they didn't kill Daryl. But tell him what happened.
Well, Daryl, I really thought Daryl was gonna, I was scared for Daryl. Like, if they killed Daryl, that would have been the one thing,
Scarol?
Daryl?
Scared for Daryl?
Oh, okay.
Scarol.
I was thinking Daryl and Carol.
Were you Scarol?
Yeah, I was really scared for Daryl. Okay.
We're trying to make light of it,
but yeah, because that's just the one character that I've always felt is safe, especially at this point. Because so many people everyone just adores him.
Even though, and the funny thing is he's a completely original character.
Exactly.
He's not in the comics
so
at all.
So that's why I feel like he's that one thing that they have that just be so dumb. Because he's that extra storyline that they don't get to they get to do whatever they want with him,
Right, yeah.
So yeah, when Daryl was fighting, I was like, no, dude, stop. But then, Negan, they held him down, and that dude with the burnt I can do it right now.
Dwight.
Yeah. Ugh.
He's got his crossbow too.
Oh man. And he was like, I can do it right now. He was like, no, he basically says, he likes the way he likes, he says that he's, he says he's got balls, something like that.
I
don't remember exactly what, but he says he's tough.
Kids got guts.
Yeah.
Guts. I like that. And he basically said, you don't kill that.
Yeah.
Basically you try to use that.
Which, good luck with that, Negan. I mean, come on. Daryl's not going to get mind controlled. But anyways, they take Daryl out. And at this point, I was just watching it and I was like...
Well, they don't take him out. I mean,
they put him in the van.
They put him in the van.
Take him out. No. They put him in a van, save him for later. They're probably going to try to make him one of their own. But like I said, good luck. And then... I was just I had just watched the episode previous, the finale, and I had literally just heard Negan say when Glenn, jumps out and he's fighting for Maggie, and he's like, don't any of you do that again, and he's like, emotional moment, I get it, one to them for free.
Completely forgot about.
I remember that because I had just seen that episode, and so then and it makes sense now that it was Glenn. I mean, I don't know, maybe that was just random, but yeah, and so then he's like, and I was like, oh no, guys, he just said that he's not going to tolerate any more of that. And you believe the things that he says.
Yeah. Well, and that's what he says.
He says, I don't know what liars you've been dealing with.
Yeah, he's
but
like,
I don't lie.
Yeah, he's like, I told you if you do this, I will shut it down.
Mm-hmm. And then just like that,
he says, well, let's get back to it.
Yeah.
And then
And that was the part that I was not expecting. And man, the writing with that was so good because...
And in case you didn't catch it yet, it was Glenn.
It was Glenn
that got the bat.
Yeah.
And he dies.
And there was a literally from the comics.
Yes, it's as gory as the comics are. Honestly, I'm surprised that they kept it as graphic as they did.
I think that scene was actually a little goofy, but I can talk about that in a little bit.
Sure.
But they threw a real like trick shot there because I was so like the way I processed this, but in between seasons I was thinking the whole time it's not gonna be Glenn because that happens in the comics literally everyone, so right. I don't think it's gonna be Glenn.
And they've established this pattern of if it happens in the comics a certain way, they're not going to follow. They don't go by what the comics are. Like the major moments. Mm-hmm. Like Rick hasn't lost his hand yet.
Yeah.
You know, it was Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia's still alive in the comics.
And not her mom, Carol.
Yeah, and so the whole time I was like, it's not going to be Glenn, and I was right because he killed Abraham in the actual finale and the now premiere. But and you think everything's fine, right? But then, oh man, like they just, because it basically it just throws in a whole other element that wasn't in the comics, so now you have no idea how to treat it.
Right.
Glenn's dead, boom. You never could have changed up the way it happened, but it yet still ended up being accurate to the comics. It was really, really cool. But yeah, and so that shot of him with like the eye hanging out,
you thought that was goofy? As
disturbing as it might have, I see how, but honestly, it looked kind of goofy to me because of how, and I know I might be being nitpicky here, how unrealistic that is. Getting hit in the head like that, you would either be unconscious or you would be dead. You would not be able to speak because he says, "What
is Maggie? I'll find you," but
which makes no sense.
But
because you're dead.
Well, to me, it did. I don't think it was
goofy.
Creepy
to me.
Yeah, and I don't think it was goofy. I do think it's feasible because he gets hit twice. He gets hit on the crown of his head. I mean,
lights
at
out.
That point, not necessarily. I mean, he's definitely got brain damage at that point, which is why he was talking kind of funny. But I don't know. I mean, you can kind of take some creative license, but I don't think you're automatically going to be out like a light.
And okay, but also just kind of the comical thing about the eye hanging out. I was like, that looks.
And I mean, it wasn't
funny.
Hanging out. I mean, it was
like bulging out.
It was bulging out. Which, dude, so I knew someone who used deadly accidents. They were basically the crew that went up and cleaned the human remains. And I heard a story once, I don't think I'll ever forget it, but the way she told it to me, she said that this guy was driving a pickup truck, maybe not a pickup truck, maybe an extended cab pickup truck. He lost control going home late one night, and what killed him was he had a speaker in his back seat, and when he hit something, like he hit the guardrails or something, this thing came flying up and crushed the entire back of his head, and his eyes were basically pushed out. So the thing is your brain, your cranial cavity, if you get the point, if it gets gushy, if it gets to the point where your skull is no longer solid, I mean, it basically becomes like a tube of toothpaste. I mean, stuff gets pushed out.
I'm not saying that the fact that the eyeball was bulging out was not feasible or unrealistic. It just looked kind of silly to me. I don't know. Maybe it's like the special effects of it.
I thought it was real. There was one because it was kind of I don't know, gooey or something. Like it was almost moving a little bit.
It was unsettling. I'll give it that. It was pretty unsettling.
Well, I mean, like the eyeball was actually moving while he's just dazed from getting hit. It was a good. I think it was a really awesome effect.
And was it just me, or did he hit Glenn a lot more than he hit Abraham.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, I thought so. Which was kind of that was sad when it showed everyone's faces and stuff looking at it.
Right. Yeah.
And Maggie especially
But it doesn't end there.
Mm-mm.
That's only halfway through.
He kills Maggie too.
He doesn't. No, but a third thing almost does happen. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, long story short, he gets the axe. We do have a really cool scene where he has to hang who's hanging from a bridge.
Really fake to me. That neck
pulling. Well,
I was like, come on guys, is this a cartoon?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, come on.
But it was still cool though.
Yeah, I guess.
So, he's from this walker that's hanging from a bridge by its neck. The neck snaps, the head gets ripped off. He falls into this pit of walkers basically, but Negan actually saves him. He shoots all the walkers around him. He basically brings him in, brings him back into the RV, gives him the axe, and he's just like, hey, you can continue to work for me, and here's your axe. I have a feeling you're going to need it. So
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. He brings him back to the group, and the bodies are still there. And now it's morning.
New day.
So, yeah, and I thought that was a big thing, too. Mm-hmm. That this all happens at night, and then come back, and it's a dawn of a new.
Poetic.
But the big thing about it was he comes back, and Rick is still giving him this look that Negan doesn't like. And he basically takes Carl, and he asks Carl, he's like, hey, are you a lefty? He goes, no, I'm right-handed. So he takes his belt, ties it around Carl's left arm, and then tells Rick, cut your son's arm off, or I kill everyone here. Except you. I
thought he was going to do it. I really did.
Yeah. It was like an Abraham and Isaac moment.
That's what it reminded me of.
It really was.
Seriously, it reminded me of that, except a lot more twisted.
Which to me I think they did that on purpose, because that kind of reveals that Negan has this god complex, because Rick doesn't actually end up doing it. He was about to. I mean, or Carl's even telling him go, just go ahead and do it, Dad, so that not everyone has to die.
It speaks volumes too that Carl understands the gravity of the situation and how it just has to be done.
Yeah,
and just that whole scene, it's just really interesting because in any area of cinematics, films, shows, and even in The Walking Dead, you get in these situations and it's okay, but they're gonna find a way out. You find a way out. And it happens in The Walking Dead a lot too. But in this whole scene where Negan has them lined up and when he's forcing Rick to cut off his arm, there's no way out. All of there's no way out. It's made so clear, and that part of it, and everyone who's there knows.
And they make you think too, the whole time you're okay, we didn't think he was gonna kill two people. Mm-hmm. So at that point you're just yeah, anything goes, man.
I started hearing rumors about that though before it, a few weeks. I think
the guy before, in a couple months early, basically said that more than one person was going to die. So Negan stops Rick right before he's going to cut off Carl's arm, and he's just that's the look I'm looking for. Basically
this broken
complete surrender.
Yeah.
So he basically says, you have 1 week to give me half your stuff, and leaves them a truck so they can take their
That's what he says
bodies.
And then Maggie. Remember what happens with Maggie?
Yeah, she
wants to fight, which is
she wants to fight.
I don't know if that means she's brave or just stupid. I think she's just upset. But that's in a long time. My brother thinks that they're gonna kill Negan in this season.
I don't think so. No. Negan is gonna be around for quite a while.
And you're gonna hate him more.
Longer than the governor was.
And when he dies, it's gonna be satisfying. Just think about that.
Yeah, I hope awesome. I hope it is going to be satisfying.
Oh, it better be.
But yeah, what would you scale of 1 to 10? What would you give this spooky episode?
I would say 8.5.
8.5. You're going the 0.5 route.
Yes. Can we not do decimals?
Yeah, I would give it. Yeah, it's hard to go between 8 and 9.
Exactly. Are you gonna say 8.5 too?
No. I hadn't even thought of like what I would give it. I give it a 9, and I just cased perfectly. I felt. The only thing is, I really wish I hadn't killed Glenn.
Yeah. Forever in our hearts.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.